The Church of St. James the Less, Sulgrave, is the Church of England parish church of Sulgrave, a village and civil parish about 5 miles north of Brackley, Northamptonshire. The present church dates largely from the 13th and 14th centuries, and is recorded in the National Heritage List for England as a designated Grade I* listed building. Sulgrave has had a church since the Anglo-Saxon era, although not on the current site. An earlier stone church is believed to have stood about 1 circumflex 4 miles north of the present one, on higher ground near the windmill. The church on the present site was built in the 13th century, when the Cluniac Priory of St. Andrew, Northampton held the advowson. At least some material from the original church was used in the rebuilding, most notable as a triangular-headed doorway, characteristic of Anglo-Saxon architecture, that has been reset as the west door of the west tower. This may date from the 10th century. The bell openings to the top stage of the tower, and the trefoiled lancet windows to the ground stage are Early English Gothic features that date it to the 13th century. The tower had a spire, but it collapsed in the 14th century. A record from about 1340 reports the church is destroyed, and 20 carts being at Helmedene southeast of Sulgrave, to collect stone for its repair. Helmedene stone is a fine freestone, and was certainly the best building stone in the area. The work for which Helmedene stone was supplied may therefore have included the south aisle. This was added in the middle of the 14th century, and retains all of its original decorated Gothic windows. The four-bay arcade between the south aisle and the nave is perpendicular Gothic, and therefore somewhat later. Also in the south aisle is a squint to the high altar in the chancel, and a 14th or 15th century piscina, both of which were installed when the aisle had a side altar. The squint was blocked after the Reformation, but reopened in 1885. The south door is 14th century. Outside it is the south porch, which is 16th century Elizabethan with a characteristically Tudor four-centred arch. Over it is a date stone with the initials R and year 1564. Elizabeth I visited Northampton that year, so the initials may commemorate her visit. The chancel has 2 south windows. The more easterly is decorated Gothic and therefore earlier. The more westerly is perpendicular Gothic. The baptismal font is octagonal, and may date from the 1660s. In 1840 the nave walls were raised by about 6 feet, the ancient oak roof was replaced with a new deal one, and the windows were reduced in height, all to accommodate the installation of galleries, to increase the church's capacity. In 1885 the galleries were removed, and the oak roof was restored. In the same year, to compensate for the loss of the galleries, the north aisle was added, reusing the 14th century north doorway. The 3-light east window of the chancel is also 19th century Gothic revival. The 2-light east window of the south aisle includes 4 stained glass coats of arms of successive generations of the Washington family. Each is surrounded by strapwork in white and yellow glass, and they are probably 16th century. St. James has an ancient wooden chest, hewn from a solid oak trunk, and said to be 14th century. It has 2 compartments, and is bound with closely spaced iron bands. In the south aisle is the Washington pew, a 17th century pew that was installed when the Washington family held Sulgrave Manor. In 1929 a wooden screen was installed separating the ground stage of the tower from the nave to create a vestry. It was funded by the Women's Committee of the George Washington Institute, and made by craftsmen of Broadway, Worcestershire. The colonial dames of America presented the church with a pipe organ in 1930. This was replaced with a new one in 1975. Under the floor of the east end of south aisle is the tomb Mamie Washington, who died in 1564, and her husband Lawrence, who died in 1584. The tomb is covered by a 6-foot slab of haunted ironstone with monumental brasses set into it. There were originally 6 brasses in the set. A pair of 21-inch figures of Lawrence and Amy Washington, a pair of smaller brasses, one of their 4 sons, and one of their 7 daughters. a brass of a family coat of arms and one with an inscription. The brass is of Amy Washington, the family coat of arms and the inscription are missing. In 1889 the two brasses of the children and the head of the brass of Lawrence Washington were stolen. They were recovered in 1923 and reinstalled in 1924, but no one was ever charged with the theft.